Hey there, welcome back to the city building project. I'm doing an intro now instead of in the actual episode because I forgot to. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions, look at that. These roads do not match up with my entrance. Good job, me. It's almost as if this series is about not planning ahead. I wonder how that could have been fixed. Maybe by planning ahead. But, you know, in the spirit of this series, we're not planning or anything, so we get to deal with things like this, which is fine, you know, we can work with it. Anyways, basically, if you're confused about what I'm talking about, that's fine. I'm getting ahead of myself. This right here is my attempt at a fancy pants sort of entrance to the university. It conforms to the 5% grade I have for my ramps up in the campus. So it's accessible, and it's nice and symmetric for, you know, visitors. You know, you walk in, ooh, fancy, university, I'm gonna get edumacated, woo. Of course, you know, it's kind of hard to do that when your road ends there and not here. And over there too, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and we gotta fix it, but I don't want to fix it right now, and instead I want to distract myself a little bit and talk about this episode's theme, which is in fact not dealing with the consequences of my own actions. Instead, the theme is infrastructure. Now, infrastructure, well, duh, Kian, you're building a city. Of course you're going to be working on infrastructure. The reason I kind of wanted to make that a more heavy focus than I guess it usually is because the campus, you know, is pretty much complete as of last episode, and it currently has no power, and it has no water. And so I thought it might be nice to kind of, well, fix that, starting with, right now, building a water tower. Before we get to that, I just wanted to show you this guy. It's my attempt at one of those two-dimensional statues of a 3D object where it's like the silhouette of that object. And you're supposed to kind of imagine it as a 3D object, but it's not a 3D object. It was just kind of spontaneous, and I kind of like it. Okay, so I don't actually have any music or commentary to add to this time-lapse, so you're just gonna get to listen to me say this. Isn't that great? Where does the world brush terrain end and the hand-built terrain begin? Nobody knows. Ooh, spooky. I was a bit too lazy to bust out the brushes again, so I just built this part right here by hand to meet up with here. I don't know, can you tell? I tried to emulate the noisiness of my lazy brush skills. I think it kind of went well. Anyways, here's the elevator I promised last episode. You know, it's only an episode late, not too big of a deal. You got your up and down buttons very far apart, as they should be. And, you know, what you saw in the time-lapse, we got ourselves a water tower. It's very stylized, I know. I imagine you might have been expecting something more like the Warner Bros. Water Tower, and I originally was going to do something like that, but then I thought, I've seen ones like this, why not try to do something a little bit more modern? And yeah, I think it fits the hill nicely. I've also decorated with leaves and trees a lot, although I'm still going to need to add some more dirt because I realized while doing this that it's not very plausible to have grass underneath dense patches of trees like this, you know, where the sunlight won't reach as frequently, so I'm gonna need to do some decorating there, but that'll come later. In the meantime, I kind of want to go swing back over here to work on power lines. That's where the power, I don't know, a power line could go there, maybe? Not there, though, I've changed my mind. Anyways, that's what we're doing next. We're doing power lines next. You can also see I've attempted to kind of fix this, and yeah, I guess we're getting somewhere, and we'll putter through that as well. But for now, we're gonna focus on some power lines. I want to run a set of power lines from here all the way to the campus up there. Now, I know it might be more reasonable to just say, oh, there are underground power lines and stuff, and, well, yeah, that would be pretty reasonable. I'm not very reasonable myself, so we're going to do it the unreasonable way, and we're going to run a double set of power lines from here to up to the campus. I don't know how well this is going to go. It might look really, really janky, but these are really hard to place. I can't do it on camera. But essentially, it's going to be something like this. Also, I was just messing around, and I discovered this. Look at this. You can place a flower in there, right? But if you right-click it with an empty hand, it takes the flower out. You don't need to break and replace it like I have been for my entire time using flower pots. Anyways, now let's painstakingly place this all the way over there. Hey, this isn't a power line. And neither is this, but this is right here. There you go. We'll talk about that later. For now, let's look at the power line that I've put over here. So it's the double one, like I promised. It goes up here, around here. We've got our connections to our buildings. So we've got one to this old apartment complex motel thing, then to these houses over here. I figured these houses would share a power source, so there's none going to this one, just to this one over here. Anyways, you're probably wondering, hey, didn't you get a little bit distracted? And yes, I did, but that's a good thing because we've actually figured out this area finally, which is nice. So my idea for this is to have the power lines running all the way from out there, through here, into this area here, this little station, which is then going to convert it discreetly and off camera to ground power, so there'll presumably be power lines under the ground. Mostly because I don't really want to cover this whole hill with power lines, so we're just gonna kind of explain it away like that. I was originally going to make this a really big station, but then I realized, you know, I could not make it a big station and it would probably look better, so yeah, we're gonna decrease its size. Anyways, what's this area down here then, you might be wondering? This area I wanted to make kind of like a little student village. So, you know, you're doing your classes and stuff, and then you come down on the elevator or on the stairs, and you walk around in the little student village, and it's like a mini city within a more urban area of the bigger city. So we've got here, I'm thinking this is going to be student housing, maybe this is also going to be student housing, and then over here I've kind of started a little bit of a library. Now, originally my plan was to call this building over here the student housing, and then partway through building this area, and I made this, I thought, oh, well, you know, this will be student housing. And then I realized, well, what am I going to put here? And I thought, well, if that's not student housing, then that could be a library. But if I'm going to have a big building here, why not make this the library, and then this will be more classrooms. And the university will be a little bit more beefy. So that's what this is. This is going to be a library. It looks kind of like a train station. Don't know if I'm going to keep the style, but, you know, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out so far. In terms of transitions between the stone brick and the brick, I still think what I did is a little bit janky, but at least it looks slightly more natural with the plant pots in the way. Now, these obviously make it a little bit cramped. However, that shouldn't be an issue because, again, like I've explained before, this is a no-vehicle city, with exceptions of maybe future public transport. So everything is basically done on foot. Down here, I thought maybe this little dark prismarine area could be the front for a bookstore. Also, what do you think of my posters? I've just spammed some glazed terracotta around them. The designs aren't supposed to indicate anything. They're just supposed to be splotches of color. But I thought it might help add a little bit more life into this area. I did a similar thing over here with these posters. And I've done it previously as well in the campus itself. Okay, so I realize that the theme of this episode has strayed pretty far away from infrastructure, but you know what, I'm okay with that. Please be honest with me, does this look like mountains? It's supposed to be one of those 3D, 2D cutout sculptures like I did with that guy over in that direction earlier this episode. Just to fill the space. And I didn't want to do a person standing up because I feared they might get a little bit too tall. So, we're done the thing. We're done the student village. There's the library. Pretty happy with it. Although, I am a little bit concerned about how transparent it is. Because I haven't done any builds, aside from those windows there, that have massive enough windows that seeing through them really matters. So I'm worried that it's going to kind of break immersion if you can see right through to the other side. So I might put something solid behind there at some point. Similarly to how I put bookshelves here, maybe, with the bookstore to kind of indicate its purpose. Anyways, there's a little distress beacon for students. Here's the entrance to the library, and if you go over here, you can see that this building is labeled SU because this building is a student union lounge / office / whatever. My thinking is to have this sort of as a little area that students can kind of rent out for their own personal clubs and stuff, as well as just being a general hangout area for students and their representatives in the union. And in that line of thinking, I thought, well, it might be nice to kind of conjoin it with the library so that maybe the student union offices could sort of be in the library at the same time as in the student union lounge, so then it's like a little, I don't know, joiner, whatever, like you go into the library, you're a student, you're having trouble trying to research or whatever, there's a professor that's bugging you, so you go to the student union lounge that's in the library. Seems pretty convenient to me. So that's the student union building. Also, we've got a nice little hangout on the roof too. If you ever want to sit underneath the pink umbrella and look at azalea bushes, I guess you can. And under here, we've got a little hangout for people on the ground. That was a weird way to put this. This also is supposed to be like a loading area for the library, so you can bring your carts of books through the rural area in the mud. Very convenient, I know. And you shove it into the library where it can be sorted or something. One thing I wanted to do is I thought it might be nice to have this poster kind of repeated around. Again, the posters don't mean anything, but the fact that this one is repeated around maybe signifies that it could be for a big event or something. All in an attempt to add life to the area. Now, speaking of life, I have kept this area purposefully barren just to kind of signify its multi-purpose use. Anyways, I think all that's left to do now is just to have a little fly around from the Forbidden Sky perspective. As I've kind of discussed before, I'm not trying to focus on this perspective, it's more just whatever happens to be visible from this perspective happens to be visible from this perspective. What I mean by that is that anything that I see from up here is just kind of incidental. The main point of this build and stuff is to look at it from down here, which is what I love doing. And honestly, this is one of my favorite views from this city. So I think it's pretty appropriate to use it as our starting point for our shader tour. You knew this was coming. Anyways, let's have a quick meander around before my computer explodes. First on our tour list is the beautiful student distress signal area thing. And then we've got our fancy sculpture that is definitely mountains. And we got a student union building, the big SU on the side, which we aren't going to look at because Kian isn't very good at controlling what he does in game and talking about things at the same time. I had to stop recording there for a second because there was lag, as you saw. Anyways, the render distance is cranked even further down, and we're just walking through the main road, generating things as we go. I hope this recording is legible. I don't want to do it again, but anyways, I guess if I have to, I get to look at this one more time, which is pretty nice. I love walking through here slowly. Anyways, I think I've done quite a lot this episode I'm pretty happy with, so I'm gonna end it here, and we're gonna... Ooh, what's going on? Ooh, guess who got his hands on some acid shaders? Hey, these ones don't make my computer lag as much. Maybe I'll use these for shader tours in the future. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. It's time to end the episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna turn these shaders off. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the comments section. And have a nice day. Goodbye. Oh, my legs, my knees, my ankles. Oh! Okay, so I've finished recording the episode and I've started editing it, and I realized that I haven't actually told you what this rock thing is about. Essentially, I'm just gonna be doing some terraforming next episode, and I was just practicing to see what would happen. That's all. Anyways, see you next time. Bye.